Hey, what's up, ASM family? It's Joe Yarbrough here, and I'm super excited to bring you another week of our Tidbits of Faith series. Now, I wanted to save this announcement for right before the message to kind of get you guys excited. For us that were unable to attend the spring retreat, and for a lot of us that were able to attend, we had to unfortunately cancel due to COVID-19. We are excited to announce that the campus agreed to let us postpone our spring retreat, and we are actually going to be doing a fall retreat with them with the same prices, same themes and everything that was included, and we're excited for that. They gave us a couple of dates, so in the coming weeks, make sure you guys follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We're going to be putting a poll out to vote on which weekends work the best for everybody, so mark your calendars on that as well, because we'd like to get as many of the seniors, again, seniors are invited, and the new incoming sixth graders to come and be a part of this big ASM blowout. With this kind of postponement, we're going to be able to have more time to prepare for some awesome activities, some awesome speakers, some awesome messages. So I really hope that you are as excited as I am as excited, as the leaders and everyone else is excited. But I want to ask you a question as we get started today. Have you ever gone in a deep rabbit hole? Now, I'm not talking literally like Alice in Wonderland. I mean, have you ever been on the internet and you started watching a video and then you kept clicking on the recommended videos until all of a sudden you're watching a guy smash 75 watermelons with his head alone in under a minute. And you started just searching your favorite artist's new music video. I know I'm guilty of that. And it's also the embarrassing part is when you're just watching and someone just kind of catches a glimpse of your phone or your computer and they go, "What are you watching?" And you almost have to like cover up and like, "Nothing, it was just like a recommended video. I didn't know." And you always kind of feel this embarrassment of like, they must think I'm really weird that I looked this up. And during this quarantine, I have gone through some deep rabbit holes. Not necessarily YouTube, but maybe you have too. Maybe you've gone through this deep rabbit hole of playing Warzone. Maybe you've gone through this deep rabbit hole of, for a lot of us, it's, working on those TikTok dances. Maybe you've gone through this deep rabbit hole of just binging every show possible. I know for me and my wife, we are way late to the game, but we barely started watching Game of Thrones and we're like, this is a lot to process, Maybe for a lot of you guys, it's finally getting to this craft or learning this hobby, whatever it may be. But for me, it's different. One of the things that I am constantly doing is I'm always looking up and researching random facts. There's something about just like learning and figuring out random things that kind of just entices me. Whether it's about US presidents or just about what's going on in today's scientific community or statistics on different things. I love stats. And it was interesting because I was going through this whole research here on my laptop, and I was in this deep, deep hole, and I was reading about how much scar tissue is needed to develop around your head to basically be like a human helmet and be kind of a superhero. And I was looking that up, and then I came to this crazy stat. This stat that here, I had it up here on my laptop. It says that I read in my deep hole that we as humans have 2% more brain than chimpanzees. 2%. Oh, that's not a lot. 2% more, I don't really feel a difference, I think. I'm maybe you're picky. I don't know the difference between whole and 2% milk. So 2% is kind of a lot, I guess, because you got to think about it. When I go to the zoo with my son, I don't look at a chimpanzee's functions and motor skills and go, "Oh, I do that exactly." Maybe sometimes, but what do we do with that 2% as humans? I mean, we reason, we argue, we create art, we form chemical connections with friends and crushes and things like that. We're able to tweet. And it's crazy because some of us, even with that 2%, can do calculus. I'm not saying that's one of my traits, but it's crazy to think what we do with that 2%. But what's even more crazy to me is what is one thing we all do with that extra 2% is we worry. And I know for a lot of us, there's so much worry. Every time I go on my phone and every time I turn on a TV, all I see is that 2% and that worry. The worry of proms being canceled, not being able to walk at graduations, the worry of loved ones who are way more susceptible to this COVID-19, the worry about the rest of this year, events, plans, people who had wedding dates planned and had to postpone. Worry, worry, worry. And I think about that we all tend to worry. And it's everything that we try to do to kind of protect us. We think that worrying kind of makes us feel safe, as if by worrying, we're going to be able to push out all the things that could have possibly affected us. By worrying that it actually makes it easier when the actual outcome happens. And I don't know about you, that's never really been the case for me. You see, worrying actually makes things a bit harder. And Jesus has something to say about that here. In Luke 12:24, he speaks and says, "Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap. They don't have a storeroom or a barn, but yet God feeds them. Aren't you worth much more than the birds? Can any of you add one moment to his lifespan by worrying? If then you are not able to do even a little thing, why worry about the rest?" He continues on in verse 27, "Consider how the wildflowers grow. They don't labor or spin thread. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was adorned like one of these. If that's how God clothes the grass, which is in the field today, and is thrown in the furnace tomorrow, how much more will he do for you? You have little faith." You see, I find that quite interesting that Jesus decides to use this comparison of our worry to birds and to flowers. And I find myself that when I'm worrying and I'm in my head, I'm less susceptible to notice the flowers and smell them along the way, or to notice any birds chirping. You see, one of the reasons I think this analogy is so good, that shows us that the rest of creation, it doesn't worry. And the reason why is because they know that worry costs them. You know, really cool fact about Jesus using this analogy of ravens. And this isn't the first time Jesus uses ravens, or God the Father uses ravens. It's actually one of my favorite Old Testament prophet stories with Elijah. When God has Elijah living in a cave and waiting, he has no idea where he's going to get his food. He has no idea how he's going to survive. But every day, these ravens come and they drop manna from heaven, this bread for him to live. And why this is a crazy thing is that ravens don't even take care of their young. You see, ravens are scavengers. They don't really help out the pack. They eat dead things. They're kind of like vultures. And basically they just pick up any old dead animals or any other thing, and then they just eat it, whatever they can get. And the fact that these ravens that don't really care about anything except themselves are coming to supply Elijah, that's really crazy. And the fact that Jesus here is saying, consider those ravens and how they don't care about anything else, they don't worry about anything else, and yet every day there's food for them. They don't know if someone's going to die. They don't know if something is going to get better. They don't know if there's going to be enough food for them that day, but they don't worry. When we see flowers growing, we don't see some flowers worrying if they're going to be as colorful, as bright, as tall as the next flower. They're just flowers. And you see, when we worry about tomorrow, it costs us. It costs us everything. I like how Jesus even says, who amongst you by worrying can even add a moment to your life? You see, that's the cost, is it cost us this right here. You see, worrying about the future, about an outcome that we aren't even certain is going to happen nor come, is to miss out on what's happening right now. This, you and me, right here. And why this is such a big deal to Jesus is he's trying to point out to you that when you're worried about what's going to happen after this graduation, what's going to happen when you get into middle school, what happens when you get promoted to the next school year, what happens when you go back to school after trying to acclimate to these online classes, what happens when you haven't seen your friends in weeks and weeks and weeks, what's going to happen, none of that's going to make it any better. And none of that is where Jesus hangs out, because those are what ifs, and he knows the plan. You see, Jesus likes to hang out in the present. And when we get to live in the current and in the now, we don't dwell on the past. We don't fear and worry about the future. We get to receive his gift, the now. And that's why it's called the present, to quote the great theologian Mushu from Kung Fu Panda. So my prayer and my hope is that worry costs us the gift of now. And I wonder what would happen if we stop focusing so much on the worry of what's to come, but rather, what is God doing today? So I hope that today you accept the gift. Welcome to the present. God bless you, and I hope you guys have a great day.